Alright, just cut the rope here. Yeah, but cut it. Look, this just bugs the crap out of me. Okay, there we go. And I still can't see, even though I'm carrying a flaming Molotov cocktail. Yo, what's going on, everyone? Been a while, huh? Sorry, I've been away for this week. I've been busy once again, and also been playing some games, mostly God of War, the new God of War, and Rise of the Tomb Raider on the PlayStation 4. As you can see from the footage I did just then. But I'm back for another video when that is kind of steering away from the wealth of news that has happened recently, mostly to do with Nintendo's online service and the slew of game announcements that have arrived. Most recently, Monster Hunter Generations coming to the West on a Nintendo Switch, which will stir some pots, I'm sure. But anyway, outside of YouTube, I talk a lot about video games. In fact, I honestly don't believe a day goes past where video games are not on my mind. And amongst some other friends who aren't on YouTube, although I've been trying to get them on this channel, as I greatly value their opinions, which can sometimes be greatly different from mine, but also carry some weight from their perspective, which is important when trying to engage in a deep discussion about games. As deep as video game discussions can get, right? With these fellow gamers, my opinions can be sometimes quite controversial, and sometimes it's hard to over text, because we use Hangouts and stuff, to convey my likes and dislikes about modern AAA gaming from many companies, which is another reason why I set up a YouTube channel. Also because, like I said, I can just talk about games all day, every day. Speaking of AAA gaming, it's a term you find loosely thrown around this industry with little to no care, I feel. Quite similar to how buzzwords like magnificent and masterpiece and revolutionary are thrown around, or phrases like a game or the generation, just tossed out there even when the generation isn't over. I've also straddled the line sometimes, but I try to stay with the now, with the present, instead of tapping into the future. For example, where when I said Breath of the Wild is the best game I've ever played, which is my opinion, which still stays true to today. Or I consider Breath of the Wild to be the best game ever made, which is out of all the games I've played and seen, that also still remains true to me. But hey, opinions, right? But where I want to go with this video a little is to add a bit more context as to why I give certain games or developers, studios, etc. A hard time in terms of game mechanics, world interaction, etc., etc. Especially when it comes to, once again, the studios that are considered as AAA, which is a term for me these days that mostly means a developer with the money and staff to potentially push the boundaries of what's possible in gaming today. It's certainly a term for me that's not linked to quality as much anymore. It still is, but just not as much anymore, because as we know, many of these so-called AAA studios can deliver what you consider to be stunning looking titles, but can actually turn out to be piles of trash that are simply embarrassing, just like this Assassin's Creed image which needs to be burnt with fire. Now, my non-YouTube friends, the FGR elites as we're known, and also the best Street Fighter players in the whole world, by the way, have often said that I'm picky, perhaps too picky with some games and not with others. And most of the time, those others are probably Nintendo titles, like Zelda's and Mario's, which, coming from Nintendo first party, are mostly considered Nintendo's AAA titles, right? The games that get the biggest budget and staff. Of course, my love for Nintendo is used as a negative. For most of the time, something that Nintendo fans have dealt with for years for reasons that will be saved for another time right now. But as I showed at the start of this video, there are things that just bug me, in games, and especially today. To be honest, they've started to bug me since the PlayStation 2 and GameCube and Xbox era, but have vastly escalated into my own personal irritations and hates in the generations afterwards. Once again, we're talking about the big AAA companies here. When I hear developers, large online websites, marketing teams, etc., especially developers, which I really want to focus on, shouting from the rafters that certain games are like Crom's gift to the world, games that are considered magnificent, revolutionary game of the generation, have to have the best graphics ever in video games, tell stories that have never been told before in this medium, and especially quotes like this is the next generation of gaming. Due to my long history with games, I can't help but take note and indeed expect expect certain things, as well as expect evolution in many areas based off the great games that we've played in the past and what they achieved in their generations on inferior consoles, which I've always bring up on this channel. It's another reason why I done that video. I keep tagging in about graphics and those substance. Things like this just get to me, and seeing how far we've supposedly come in gaming, and me knowing what's possible in gaming today, and I'm talking about game mechanic wise and environment interaction, all and for gameplay purposes, and all those stuff. I do expect certain things, and we'll call them out if they are not there, whether people consider them minor or not, because trust me, when they're not included, I've heard many people say that they simply weren't necessary, or they never noticed it, or they don't care. But when they are included, in something similar, or even the sequel or whatever, they'll be the first to praise these things that were initially missing just in the previous title a year before or something. So as you saw with God of War, there was a very simple puzzle of a large object hanging from a rope, which you had to cut down in order to progress. Of course, me with my Leviathan axe, I throw it at the rope, and the rope doesn't cut. Instead you have to hit the metal block in the center, because hey, this is what the devs want you to do, right? I've moaned about stuff like this in other games. In today's AAA industry, and especially with titles like God of War, which we heard nothing but praise about how different it is, and how much it's achieved graphically, and all this stuff. I'm finding less excuses for devs to be lazy with such things. To me, if you present a puzzle with a rope, especially in today's generation, like I said, some previous generations, but I really want to focus on today's generation, because supposedly how far we come. If you present a puzzle with a rope involved, and I have the tool that should in theory cut that rope, then and then give me the player as an option to do so. In my mind, that I see no excuses why I can't cut that rope. It's presented there towards me, and we always talk about immersion in games. Especially some of my friends, they love to be immersed in these big epic games, which I do as well. But I get dragged out of games quite easily, especially ones that want to take themselves so seriously. and present such serious, and I'm doing that with quotations. I really need to come on camera, don't I? which I will at one point, guys. People, don't worry. I just want to get the right tools to do it. But especially in games where like the Tomb Raiders, like the God of Wars, that want to take themselves seriously and immerse you in these environments. I feel that these things take me out of the game, and I don't know why it doesn't do it for them, unless they don't try to cut the rope, and just literally just go for what's clear that the devs want you to do. I'm just not that type of gamer, I suppose. I always try different things or things that to me seem just more obvious, like cutting a rope that the damn thing is hanging from. Then you come to Rise of the Tomb Raider, which I've stopped playing for the moment because I wanted to concentrate on God of War to get a review out. But then as you can see here in Rise of the Tomb Raider, I'm carrying a naked flame here, a torch, but there's literally no real-time lighting whatsoever, on this torch. And I mean, just what's up with that? I notice these things. Other people must notice them as well. But then there are people who don't, or just ignore it. To me, it just takes me out. I just don't understand why things like this get missed out, but then might get put in other parts of the game. It just bugs me. There are a multitude of things like this that bug me in many games today. But let me point something out. I don't expect every game to do absolutely everything. That's just not possible. I only expect certain things from games, given the context and nature of the game and what would be considered as acceptable, given the character's nature, its tools, its environment, and of course what the developers etc. are shouting from the rooftops about, saying that these worlds are just alive and interactive and breathing. It doesn't mean that I go into games looking to hate on them or to purposely look for these things. I generally don't do that. I certainly try not to do that because I do want to enjoy the game that I've bought. I don't buy games just to hate. I want to play them. It's nothing like that. It's more that the developers give me the reasons to grumble when I know they can do better for themselves and for us as consumers as these games evolve and become bigger and supposedly better. These things just get to me. When you've played games like, I always go back to the N64, when you play games like Perfect Dark and Jet Force Gemini, where you're shooting individual body parts, that makes a massive difference to the gameplay. Then I play games like Gears of War and Destiny, where, for the most part, headshots only seem to matter or influence the characters that you're shooting. Everyone screams about how amazing the combat is in those games. I just have to voice my opinion. When I play games like Deus Ex Mankind Divided, where I can punch through brick walls one moment, then can't seem to reach a door that's blocked by cardboard boxes the next. I just have to say something. When I play the latest God of War and Kratos is presented with this flame puzzle that you see, and I try to get past it. I put up my shield, thinking the shield will block it, but it doesn't. Like in Tomb Raider now, and I want to shoot. Cut this rope and I want to shoot it. I shoot my arrow. I accidentally catch the pole, but I try multiple times then to shoot the rope, and it just doesn't cut. I get my sharp pickaxe, which I've been using to climb mountains with, and that doesn't work. And then the game tells me I need a knife to cut it, even though I have these sharp objects. I just bugs the crap out of me. But anyway, I mean, so why don't I call out Nintendo as much with their big games? Mostly because you don't see them screaming and shouting about how great their graphics engine is or how revolutionary their game is, But don't get me wrong, I'll chew them out with some of their other games when I know they could do better and evolve those games better. Like I recently did with the Kirby series, and trust me, whether they scream or shout or not, I'll be having I have massive expectations for Metroid Prime 4 based off what the previous trilogy, especially the first Metroid Prime, done. With the level of detail in those games and the environment interactions and everything, I expect to see that and more, especially when Metroid goes into HD for the first time and what the Switch is capable of. I want to see that evolution, and I will call out and pick on that game if I see things that I feel should be there. But anyway, I feel like this has gone on long enough. I get these things bug me because, like I said, I've played games in the past that set these standards, and these standards, in games like Half-Life 2, as I've mentioned before, with the physics engine, the set pieces in the world, the environment interactions, and all the stuff used for gameplay, and just players being able to think how they want to tackle things. Like I said, that type of gameplay doesn't have to exist in every game, but there are certainly elements in Half-Life 2 that should exist in many AAA games today. And then you get games like Breath of the Wild that uses, once again, physics and environment interactions in beautifully creative ways, and this is still on older hardware, like on the Wii U, compared to what we're playing with today. But anyway, to quickly summarize, based off past games and experiences, if I find developers, etc., boasting about greatness, then I expect to see it, whether that's in the smaller or bigger details. Given the context and nature of the game. With AAA titles, we should expect greatness. We do get it, and we get little samplings of it. There's tons of stuff. When I do my God of War review, there's tons of stuff that I will shout that are great in this game. Trust me, I'm not hating on God of War. I'm just using it once again as an example for little things. But with AAA titles, we should expect greatness. That's the whole point in AAA studios. I feel they when they want to go big, they have the money and the power to achieve greatness at the heights of what the industry is capable of. And if I see regression in certain areas, I'll probably call it out. But anyway, I'm done here. I could have gone on for longer. I feel provided lots more examples, but I hope this is enough to convey my thoughts. So let me know yours. Do you pay attention to such things, such details? Expect certain things from games based on past experiences, or perhaps you just don't care and take each game as it is, content with what's on offer, even if things are missing, don't make sense, or sometimes you feel they should have been there. But as always, thanks for listening, and I very much look forward to your comments below. Peace.